Hello, everybody. How are you today? Welcome. It's nice to see everybody coming in. Let's see. Hi, Dorothy. Scribble Artie. Carla. Sandy. Hi, Judy. Just checking down through the list. Hi, Nancy. Great to see everybody. Glad you're here. I hope you're having a good October day. We're almost done with October. We certainly are. It's absolutely stunning here in the Midwest today. Stunning. It's like the perfect day to go out and, walk and do stuff outside. It's just like perfect. Hey, Stephen. Hi, Petka. Hi, Miriam. And Scooby. Yeah, it's so great to see everybody. Hi, is it Tia? Sorry. my eyes, my glasses, and the computer screen don't always agree with each other. I know you can't imagine that. Oh my goodness, I look like I have a sunburn on this one monitor. Do I look to you like I have a sunburn? I mean, like I look really red. That's crazy. Pavla, hey, how are you? Hi, Roesta. Hi, Not That Martha. Hi, Marion. And Jana. Patty. Hi, Lynn. Good to see you, Lynn. I don't look sunburned? Okay, it must just be the monitor. That's good. Whew. Was getting a little scared there for a minute. Oh, now I do? You guys say I do look red? Great. Okay, let's see. Well, let's see if we can change that a little bit. Oh, that's really bad. Let me know if that's any better. After it settles down, let me know if that's any better. I like hot pink. Well, some things it could be worse. I'm not even hot today. Hi Ina. Just checking the chat here. Malou. Hi. Christine. Hi everybody. Candace. Lena. Paula. Looks better. Okay. All right. We're rolling with it, okay? However it looks, You never know, people. It's computers and it's stuff. So how's everybody? I hope you're doing great. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Linda McAllister. I'm glad you're here. I'm Barb Owen, and if this is the first time you're joining me live, welcome, welcome. If you've joined me many times, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. As I said, it's a lovely Friday here, and this is the HowToGetCreative.com show known as Drama Free Friday. Hi, Yvonne. And why is it? Well, excuse me. Suddenly my voice went south. I've talked way too much this week. I recorded quite a few classes earlier in the week, all in one day, and my voice just got really fatigued. Anyway, hi Beth. Great. Hi Deborah. Hi Pin. I'm so glad everybody's here. Welcome in. And if I don't call you by name, please know that you are welcomed. I don't always get to see the chat. After I get started, I just kind of glance at it, so I don't always get to see everything. Having said that, when you put things in the chat, if you want to get my attention, please put it in all caps. That would be great. I know, illegal fluids. We're having illegal fluids right here, right now. And then we'll get it off the table. I have my safety cup over here in the background, right here. That's my safety cup. That's my little kitty cup, so it's not supposed to spill. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Zandra. Hey, Janet. It's great to have you guys here. So, anyway, Drama Free Friday. That's where I got choked up the last time. Why is it Drama Free Friday? Because there's plenty of drama out in the world. And we're not going to bring it inside the studio because we're just going to let it be out there. And if there's something you can do about it, go out there and do whatever there is you need to do instead of talking about it here. How about that? All right. So anyway, we keep it just light and fun and, free and easy in here. That's the whole point. That's what we try to do anyway. So Halloween is a holiday here in the U.S. that's coming up on Monday. It's not necessarily a holiday that I do a whole lot with anymore. When our son was little, I loved making costumes for him. And that was a lot of fun. And one year he was Sylvester the Cat. These were costumes I made for him. He was Sylvester the Cat. That was quite an engineering feat. Another year he was an Ewok. And of course, you can always tell how old he was. He was an Ewok. He was adorable, I gotta say. He was adorable. And that was probably the warmest costume he had because it was fur. And let's see, what else did he have? Hey, Sarah. Just saw your name. Hi, Carrie. Who else did I miss? Hi, Meg. Carla, HR puff and stuff. Yeah. Let's see. He was a clown. That was a cute costume. And that's what I remember. There might have been others. But anyway, Halloween was a big deal when your kids are little and you dress them up and all that. And I had lots of fun making costumes. Sometimes he liked them. Sometimes he didn't. I remember him wearing the clown costume. He was like 3 and he wore the clown costume and cried for quite a while. Of course, his mother was determined he was going to don the costume. And he was equally determined that he wanted to get that thing off of him. So funny. So funny. Hello, Animal Lecter. I forgot your name. Would you tell it to me one more time? Carrie was a red crayon one year. Yes, Pavla says that was a time when clowns were cute costumes. That was a cute little costume. He was only 3. He wasn't scary. It was, I've forgotten what color it was. Seemed like it was red and white striped with blue trim, Yes. It just flew out of my head. Oh, anyway, trims and pom-poms and all that kind of stuff. Rick-rack. Good grief. And Janet says she and her brother won $25 each when they were the organ grinder and the monkey. Janet was the monkey. Well, good, Janet. Now we know why you moved to Monkey Island. Yes, there was a time when clowns were cute. So this morning, let's see, what else do I have to tell you? This morning, and we just chit-chat here for a few minutes before we get started, just to give everybody a chance to kind of find the stream and all that. This morning I was getting ready and getting projects and stuff off the table so I had room to stream. And I look over and Chance, aka one of the Henri sponsors, is climbing up on tables and getting up in the window, which is rare for him to do. And hi, Signa. And I'm like, what is he doing? So I look over and he's tromping through all my stuff on this one table where I have stuff stacked. I know it's hard to believe I would have anything stacked up around here, which is why you guys will never see that. But anyway, he's tromping around up there. He climbs over the stuff. He gets in the window, and he is absolutely fixated on something in the window. So I look over, trying to figure out what he is so, enamored with. Well, it was a moth. And this moth was between the panes of the glass. And I thought, well, the moth is safe, or safe enough. It's safe from the cat, but, it's driving itself crazy because it's trying to get out. And the cat is fixated on it. And I'm thinking, how great, because the cat he loves bugs of any kind. He loves bugs. Hey, Shoo. And, hey, Dana. So he just cannot get his attention off this. He's getting his little paw. He's trying to get it up any place he can to get that bug. So about the time, and I took a picture of him and sent it to Clausman because he was gone. I thought, well, it's a funny picture, We'll laugh about it, and then I'll lock the cat away. And about the time, just after I'd sent the picture to him, it's like I see Chance lunge at something, and the next thing I know, he's chomping. So the bug made a fatal mistake in coming out. Chance did away with the bug, and all was right with the world. And then he got down and went back where he was supposed to. So he went back in there and took a nap. So there you go. He's so funny. Hi, Jane. Oh, yeah. What a crazy, crazy, crazy cat. Hi, Allie. It's just goofy. All right, I'm going to get rid of the illegal fluids because we ought to get crack-a-lackin'. Cheers, everybody. So, as I said, I'm not real super big into Halloween anymore, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do something with a pumpkin this year. Last year I carved pumpkins for you guys, and that was fun, but I don't like to do the same thing twice. It's really hard. Hi, Margaret. It is really hard for me to do the same thing twice, so we're going to do something a little different today. Before I do that, I want to show you something, give you a sneak peek of what we're going to do next week. I got this fun little package in the mail this week. Got my junk out of the way. So I got this fun little package in the mail this week. And this is literally how these come. And we're going to be doing something with these next week. And these are called Art Sparks Creative Project Deck. And so that's what this is. So I'll go through them in detail next week. But I'm just going to fan through them and give you an idea of what they look like. On one side there's art, and on the other side it's a different kind of inspiration deck. So we're going to be playing with those next week on the stream. And this coming week, there is a blog hop about this. I'll be tweeting it and putting it on Facebook and so forth. And also I have done a whole, worked with one of the cards that on a post, and so you'll see, because I'm part of the blog hop, on November 2nd. So you can go to HowToGetCreative.com and you'll see it right there on the front page on November 2nd. I'll also be sending that out to everybody. So I just want to give you a sneak peek, but isn't that the cutest little packaging, and your cards stay right in there? That's really nice. So anyway, okay, so we are going to do some patterning today. Uh-oh, Patty had to take her vet to the week, and now she hates me twice a day. Now your cat hates you twice a day. Yeah, I understand. I totally understand that. Well, anytime you have to get pills down a cat's throat or any kind of medicine, ooh, do they hate you? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Definitely do. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to take a plain old pumpkin and we're going to put patterning on it with markers. And so I wanted to show you some ideas for patterns. And so these little books are pretty cool little books. These are by Design Originals and Yoga for Your Brain. So even if you are not a Zentangle expert, you can follow the patterns in these little books, or there are websites and there are YouTube video channels and so forth where there are people that will take you through doing patterns, step by step and that. I tend to watch the book or look in the books because I can do it at my own pace and rather than watching videos, but that's just me. We all learn different ways, And each one of these is a little bit different. This is Yoga for Your Brain. This is by Sandy Steen Bartholomew. And this one is Totally Tangled, also by the same author, Sandy Steen Bartholomew. One of the things that I really like about the Zentangle books is that, let's see if I can find it. In every one of them, they give you different little patterns. Now, there's going to be some overlap from one author to another, but they'll do the step outs like so. So they'll do the step-by-step images for different kinds of patterns. And this one is particularly interesting to me because it's Zen mandalas or Zen mandalas with lots of patterns in it. Here's some other ones. These are also by Design Originals. At least two of them are. I think all three of them are, actually. They put out some really nice books. Hey, Mildred. So this one is Zentangle 6. I have 2, 6, and 8 here. And again, they're... you get all the various step outs for the various patterns and so forth. So anything like this is kind of a good reference. And in this one, you can actually practice drawing them. Although drawing the patterns are really big, in my opinion, but it's, no big deal. At the back, you get a snapshot of all the patterns that are covered within the book. So there's that one. And Zentangle 2. So this has additional patterns in it. So here are some of the ideas from this book. This one is more about using it in scrapbooks, sketchbooks, journals, ATCs, cards, words, borders, etc. And then this one is monograms and alphabets. And these are kind of fun to do when you take a letter and you can Zentangle with it. And different ways to use the letters and so forth. The thing that I'm primarily interested in most of these is the patterns so that I can use those kind of as a jumping off spot for what I want to do with it. Then I usually use a book. I have a couple of books here, and I'll draw patterns in the books. And sometimes I do them like here, I've done, finished little patterns. And sometimes I'll do the step outs. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. This is a little book that I made, and so I was practicing an alphabet, and sometimes I'll just do little sections of patterns. I am by no means any kind of expert at doing this kind of patterning. I am not a certified Zentangle teacher, but one of the things that I find very helpful for me is to do the patterns in a step-out sequence. And so this is what I mean. So I'll do it, like they show in the books. I tend to remember the patterns better if I'll do them in a step-out kind of sequence like this. Okay? So that's what I do. It takes longer to do that because you have to repeat it 4 times or 6 times or whatever. But I find that I remember things more easily if I do it this way, rather than just have this one finished little section and I go, well, how did I do that? It's much easier for me to see the various steps as I look back at it and so forth. So anyway, that's just a little idea. When you do this, if you decide you want to make a book like that, a book for reference, use paper that's really super thin or super smooth. You don't want to use something that's toothy, like sketchbook paper, for example. A sketchbook, the surface of sketchbook paper is meant to grab the graphite and charcoal and that kind of material, and because it's really toothy, it will not work real well. At least in my experience, it doesn't work real well with the felt tip pens like the Pitt pens and the Micron Pigma pens. So use really smooth paper when you do this. And this one is a good one. This is mixed media paper, the Strathmore mixed media paper vellum surface. This one works really well. This is the 300 series. Super smooth paper. So I highly recommend that. This one that I showed you before, I took the covers from a composition notebook and cut them down. Then I had to put covers. Okay, get this. So then I have the insides, the guts of the leftover notebook, from where I stole the covers. So then I had to go back and make new covers for the other composition notebook. Yeah, not my brightest moment. Hi, Jillian. Not my brightest moment. Hi, Carol. But anyway, what's in here is a combination of papers. So this is just craft cardstock. The cardstock I find works pretty well doing the patterning. This is, I think this is drawing paper of some kind, but it's pretty smooth. But this just has a whole variety of papers in it that I put together, and some of it's manila, like from manila file folders, and so some of the papers in here are going to work better for this than others, but just keep in mind, the smoother the paper, the better it's going to work with your pens. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. Now, we will not get this whole thing done in one go, and I know it's going to be really blurry up close like this. Well, you'll see it better here in a little bit. But this started out as a pumpkin, just one of these kind of yellowish, blondish color pumpkins. That's how it started out. No lines on it or anything. And this pumpkin is about 7.5 inches by 7 inches, so it's kind of squarish, more or less. Dorothy says these Zentangles are so like I used to do with the scraper board in the 1950s. It's moved on, of course. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, everything that's old is new again, isn't it? So this one, as you look at it, and like I said, I know it's blurry because I've got it up super close, way too close to the camera. But I just want to give you kind of the overall view, and then we'll start playing with the other one. So this one I did only with a black pen. Okay, the whole thing is done with a black pen except for the shadowing, which is done with a gray pen. And I'm going to show you how I did that and so forth. But I'm just giving you the look-see so you can kind of get the idea. You'll find that many of the Zentangle patterns are very black, like this one, meaning it has a lot of solid areas. Then some of them are much more open. And I like to use a combination of those two kinds of patterns. So I've kind of alternated them around the pumpkin here. Okay. Now, this took me a lot of time, and so we will not get this all done today by any means, but I just want you to see one that's completely finished. So there it is from the top. There's the stem on the pumpkin. This is a foam pumpkin. There it is from the bottom. So you can see see it. And this is my one of my close-up cameras, so that's why it's a little blurry and why it's hard for me to get it under the camera for you to see it. But anyway, you got the idea. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're going to use to do this. The one that I just showed you, I used only the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in the size bold. I think that's what the B stands for on these. Okay, so this was the pen that I used on this to do this pumpkin back here. Okay, I tried different pens. I tried using Sharpies, and the Sharpies are very temperamental little pens. Okay, they're not Sharpies are not expensive pens. The regular felt tip pens are not really expensive unless you clog them up as soon as you open them, and then they're expensive because Sharpies are temperamental, and there are many surfaces that Sharpies don't like to go over. One thing they don't like to go over is acrylic paint. Another thing they don't like to work on are these pumpkins I found. So I did find that the brush tip pen, which is what this, and the B may stand for brush, I don't know. Bold or brush, it's one or the other. Maybe brush, because it is a brush tip. Okay, so I'm trying to get it where you can, there we go, where you can really see it. As opposed to a felt tip pen. I'll show you the difference in case you're not familiar with that. Let me get a Sharpie here. I did not try the Sharpie pens. The Sharpie pen is different than the Sharpie marker. I did not try the Sharpie pen. Okay, this is a Sharpie marker up here, and it has very little, there's very, very little felt exposed up here, or tip exposed on those pens, as opposed to this one, which has a very long, it's much more like a brush. Now, Sharpie does have a brush tip pen, set of pens, but the only way I've been able to find them is to find them in a whole set, and they tend to be a little pricey, so I did not. B is for brush. Okay. It's a bold brush pen. Linda says it's for brush. So that makes sense. Perfect sense. But I did find that it was necessary to use this pen in order to get it to mark on these pumpkin surfaces. So that's what I did. If you find something else that works, hey, that's great. All right, so the first thing I did with said pumpkin is I took a baby wipe and I wiped it off. And this pumpkin actually came from Hobby Lobby. That's where I found it. They're a little pricey. I have to say, I was a little surprised at how expensive these little pumpkins were. And so, you know, most of that stuff is on sale right now, and they're marking it way down to get rid of it for the holiday. So I wiped it all down with a baby wipe and then let it dry. So that was step number one. Step number two was I decided for this one I wanted to use 2 different colors of markers. Okay, I'm not going to do black on this one. I'm going to do 2 different colors just for something fun. I'm going to do purple and green on this one, which is going to probably look like psychedelic pumpkin when I get done with it. And, you know, if it does and I don't like it, I'll go back to this one. Or I'll keep working on it till I get it to where I do like it. All right, so the next thing that I did is I decided gonna get a little drink here. Obviously gonna have to keep the throat wet today. Okay. Pardon the throat clearing. Like I said, I talked a little too much earlier this week and made my throat a little bit on the sore side. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So what I did is I decided how many sections of patterns I wanted. And because I was going to have 2 colors, I needed an even number of sections because I want the colors to go purple, green, purple, green, purple, green, purple, green, and end up without two purple sections together or two green. So that means it has to be an even number. So I used a pencil, and all that you need is a mechanical pencil. This is kind of a soft lead pencil. And I used that, and I just decided where to section it off. And then I used the pencil, and I just sketched the lines to divide up the various sections. All right, so let me see how many sections I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we're going to do this one. And just draw the line in here with graphite. Okay, then I sectioned it off using, for this one I used the black pen, and I start the line like so up at the top. Then what I find is easiest to do is, for me, and I got to see if I can get this where you guys can see it and where I can do it, I work toward the line. So I work up toward the line. Rather than going down, I found I could control it better if I went this direction. Now this pen works quite well on this surface, I find, and it dries very quickly. However, don't test it and decide to see if you can smear it around right away. Give it a second to dry, okay? And so that I'm going to stop there in case I need to add anything else. Then what I did is Kathy says she tried to carve one of these white pumpkins last year, and she said she almost cut her finger off because it was too thick. Yikes! Yikes! Yeah, this is just a foam pumpkin. Yeah, it's a foam pumpkin. This was the exact pumpkin that I got. This is the exact one I got, except they had them marked way down. They had them marked on sale. I about fainted when I saw the price for this pumpkin. I thought, this is totally ridiculous, but they had them marked down. So anyway. Okay, so then I decided on the patterns that I wanted to use. And you can see that I've marked them in pencil. Okay, so I took the same pencil. This is kind of a soft lead pencil. And very lightly I marked the patterns. And I started in the center section right here, somewhere in the center of the section of the pumpkin, and then drew the design going up and the design going down. So let's do one of those. Let's come over to this section, and let's see, which one do I want to use here. So for example, this is a very dark, very heavy, lot of black on this one. So over here I'm going to start with this one that's just kind of a line kind of pattern, and it goes, it's kind of like, I don't know what the names of these patterns are because I don't pay too much attention to that. If you're really a good Zentangle person, you know what the names of the patterns are. I can't say that I do. Not that I really care either. I just want the pattern. So it's kind of a shingled kind of design. So I start in the middle, and then I'll work my way one direction, like I'll work my way down the pumpkin, and then I'll work my way up. And if they're not perfect, I really didn't care. So I just simply kept doing the patterning. And if you need to correct yourself, if you'll use a white eraser, you can erase the pencil mark right back off the surface. Like so. Now, if you are pretty good at the patterning, then you wouldn't have to do this. You wouldn't have to draw all this in pencil. I'm not that good. And as you get lower on the pumpkin, move my laptop here just a smidge. As you get lower on the pumpkin, you know, as you're coming into where this is narrowing down, then you can actually make the patterns smaller. And smaller. But it just gives you a guideline to go from. And that's what worked for me. Okay, so I worked from the middle all the way down, and then I would come back up here and I would work the rest of it to put the rest of the Hi Samantha, nice to have you join us. Hey Miko. Okay, so that's how I did that. That's how I laid out the patterns. Now you'll see a bunch of X's right here on this one. This pattern is this one right here. That's the one that had all those X's. So what I find on anything that has a pattern like this that has to have specific spaces filled in, I plot it out with the pencil, and then I go back and put an X in all the places that I'm going to fill in with color. Hi, Susan. Okay, so that's what I do. I put an X in those spaces. And so that's why you see it's like a map. That's why all those X's are there. Because then when it comes time to fill it in and color it, I don't have to think about it. I cheat like that. I don't think that's a real Zentangle move right there. This is another one. This pattern right here is another one. It's real easy to get yourself confused if you don't mark it out. So that is what I've done right here. So this is the exact same, well, you know, sort of the exact same. It's very similar pattern to what I have on the first pumpkin, but you can see all the X's. So it's easy to erase an X. It's not easy to figure out what to do if you fill it in with marker. Okay? Yeah. And one more, this pattern right here, this is a really easy pattern to do, but you can get yourself really confused real fast. So I highly recommend that you sketch it out in pencil like this, and then put the X's where the color goes. Now, let me tell you, this does not ensure that I won't still screw it up. Yes. Yes. Yeah, the tangle patterns have names. Yes, they do. I don't know them, but they do. All right, so we're going to pretend that this has all of its patterning done. And like I said, I've done this one in black. This is totally done in black. The shading that I've used is done in a different color. I'll show you about that in a minute, in a little bit. This one we're going to do in black, or in, black. We're going to do it in black. We're going to do it in purple and green. So these are some of the brush pens I had. I have a limited number of the colors. And so purple and green were the two most close. They were the closest to Halloween colors that I had. Okay, so I've got purple and green going on. All right, so let's do this pattern right here. And I've started it down at the bottom. I basically just wanted to give you an idea what the patterns were going to look like. So I'm going to go with the purple. And this particular pumpkin, because it has this handle on it, or the stem, gives you a nice handle to hang on to, which is kind of cool. So, all right, so what I'm going to do first of all, and I'm kind of working at a bit of an odd angle, so hopefully I can do this where you guys can see it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of the lines. I don't recommend that you do this if you've had a ton of caffeine. Because you could, well, you could just get some interesting patterning going on that way, I guess, huh? Okay, so I'm just going to go over all my lines to begin with. So that's what you're going to get to watch me do as I try to hold it under the camera where you guys can see, and so can I. Now the whole point of patterning is to kind of relax and enjoy the process. So you try not to be real anxious when you do this stuff. You try to be relaxed. And one of the things I have to remind myself to do when I'm doing this is to breathe. Because it's real easy to hold your breath when you're doing this stuff. Now another thing I found with the marker on here is that if you get in here and you start really rubbing around on it with your hand, you know, really getting vigorous with resting your hand or rubbing your hand, you are going to rub the marker off. So you have to be a little gentle with it. Although these Pitt markers are permanent, you know, there's really nothing for them to absorb into with this hard pumpkin surface. I did find with the Sharpies, when I used them, I did find that they clogged up almost immediately. And so you really need something with a brush tip, I found, to make this work. You, of course, could get out a paintbrush and you could paint them, but, you know, I'm just telling you, I'm not going to do that on a pumpkin. I'm just not that into Halloween. Oh, good. I'm glad you love the sponsors. Do I get cramps in my wrist? No, only on stream. Oh, welcome from the Netherlands. That's wonderful. That's great. Okay, so you see all the outlines here. Okay, so we've got everything outlined. And I have all the X's that I put in with the pencil, so all I have to do is follow my own marks. Let's see if we can, shall we? All right. The hardest little spot to do is up here by the stem. Now I really don't get cramps in my wrists, only when I'm trying to get things in the right position so you guys can see. And so I can hang on to it. Okay, and I find it easiest when I'm doing these things to go row by row. So I try to establish, whether I'm working the rows across or vertically. Now, actually, the black marker gives you fewer brush strokes, or the appearance of fewer brush strokes rather than the colored markers. But, I just thought it would be something fun just to do psychedelic pumpkin. And you can always take something, if the colors are too bright, you can always antique them down, but you're going to have to wait until the whole thing is done and give it a coat of varnish and then antique it. And you can knock the color way back, the brightness of the color. So I find that going around the outside of a shape first kind of gives me a barrier so that I don't go too much outside the lines. If you go outside the lines, they're your lines, you just make a new line. So have any of you worked with the Sharpie marker or Sharpie brush pens? I'm curious if you have, if you like them and so forth. Most people that I've seen use them seem like they like them a lot. I have the ones for fabric, but I didn't want to use those up on this. Lindy says, relax. What's that? I know. I hear you. Okay, just looking for the X's. And reminding myself that I'm coloring in the X, the X'd area. This is a good TV project, or, put on a YouTube video, or put on a stream or something and just relax your way into the process and have fun with it. So I was doing this when I was watching television, doing the other pumpkin when I was watching television. I had all my reference books with me on the couch. And next thing I knew, Muppet was using him. Muppet is our black mixed breed dog, and she was using him for a pillow. So I took a picture of her. So she's the one that sent out the tweets today. Okay, so there you can kind of see the development of the pattern. Yeah, pumpkin on LSD, that's right. Okay, moving along. And I don't know about you guys, but I start a lot of projects that I think, oh, I think this is exactly what I want it to do. And then you get into it and you go, I'm not so sure about that. And the further I go, the more I go, yeah, I think it's going to come around. I think it's going to work. You know, that happens a lot for me. So I don't judge the end result too quickly, or I try not to. I got to get started painting Santa Clauses here before long. So don't be surprised if you see some late night streams showing up here at some point, because I got Santa Clauses, carved Santa Clauses I got to get painted. They're all carved. They're all ready for me. Clausman did his job. Now it's up to me, huh? I can't tell you how much easier this makes having those X's in place. Now, I don't know if people who, are certified Zentanglers, I don't know if they do that, marking the X's for the places that they're going to color in. But I'll tell you, even if I were in a Zentangle, bona fide Zentangle class, I think I'd still have to do that in order to keep myself oriented to the right pattern, you know what I mean? Sue, so where are you? Sue said it was the wrong time of year for pumpkins where she was. Yeah, that would be nice, Susan, to have help. All right, we're just about finished with this section. And then we'll switch. Switch colors and switch patterns. So what do you guys do? If any of you that celebrate Halloween, do you do anything special? We used to have lots of kids in our neighborhood. We don't have so many anymore. They all grew up and moved away, or just grew up. So we don't have very many kids that even come around anymore. I think that Halloween it's a better kids holiday than anything, don't you? Okay, one more section here. And I think we've done it without screwing up the pattern. I think. And I keep very light. My hand is resting over here, but I have very light pressure when I'm working on top of something I've already colored, because I'm really trying not to rub off what I've already put down. Okay, so I think we got this one. Oh, you're in New Zealand. Okay, Sue. All right, so there is the pattern. Fred and Wilma costumes. To answer the door. How funny. Oh, Lynn has a 3-year-old to, is a grandson, right, Lynn? Okay, so we've got that. All right, let's switch colors and patterns. Watch those kids jump. I bet it was. Okay, so we're going to work on this next pattern, which is just arrows. This is an easy one. Should go quickly. So I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to do the straight lines to begin with. We'll see how straight we can get them. And I don't always follow the exact way of doing the patterns. Sometimes I kind of add my own spin on things, and this is one of them that I did that with. Okay, so more or less, you can see they're not perfectly done lines, right? Hi, Iffy. Oh, she can't see or hear. Okay. Somebody in the chat might type in and tell her to change the resolution. It's over under the gear icon, and it might help. Sometimes I have to do that when I'm watching live YouTube streams. If you lower the resolution, sometimes that helps stop the buffering business. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to do the other ones because I do have these penciled in, so I can kind of just follow what I've drawn in. I haven't seen the technical department show up today. He must be busy. The technical department is my son, in case you didn't know. In case you're new, which if you are, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you joining us. Okay. And one more little section of arrows we got going down here. Now the more area you have in a section, the more of these little groupings of lines and groups of arrows you can put in. The brush pens have kind of a chunky little, they're kind of a funny thing. They're kind of a broad point, but they're also a skinny point. But you can't do super tiny skinny lines, I found. So you can't do some of the really fine patterns when you use the brush markers or the brush pens. So this was my own thing that I added these little dashed lines going across because it just seemed like there was too much blank space to me. And so I added these because I liked them in between the sets of arrows. Okay, so we have that section all finished. Hi, Jessica. Oh, you're following along in your journal. Cool. Technical department's out carving pumpkins today. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. Hey, Ruth. This particular pen is a Faber-Castell pen. If you click under the video, you can see some links down there, and you can click on some of those links. It might take you to get more information. Most any place that sells art supplies will have these available. Now, you may have to order them online unless you're by a large art supply store like a Blix or Jerry's Artorama or something like that. Okay, so we've got that one done. Okay, let's go over and do this one because this one's going to be green as well. So we got the green going. And this will be a fun one to do. This will be easy to do. So I'm going to turn it sideways to me because the pattern is more of a horizontal pattern. So let's see if we can start up here at the stem end. My hand may get in the way here for a minute until I get this part done up here. And if I don't follow my pencil marks exactly, that's okay. And this pattern is deceptively difficult for me. Going opposite, so you're opposite this line over here, you're trying to go the opposite way, the mirror image. And yeah, sometimes that is not, it's easier said than done for me. Okay, so we have all those little kind of mirror image lines in. Good night, Linda. Okay, And so the next thing I'm going to do is inside the kind of bulgy areas, I'm going to put in big dots. Now you could put this pattern in every single section, which is what I did on this one. Okay, so this pattern right here, I put the dots in every single section. Or you could put it in alternate, let's call them stripes. They're not really, but kind of. You could put them in alternate stripes. I mean, it's just truly whatever you decide you want to do. And it's good to put some half ones over at the edges like that. It gives the impression that the patterns continue on around. And sometimes you have room to put them in there, and sometimes you kind of have to. Sometimes you kind of have to just kind of fudge it a little bit down there. Because when you get up here into the top of the pumpkin, this gets these the sections where the pumpkin narrows down get real tricky. We had a friend that years ago, they had a big, great big pumpkin patch. It was associated with a garden center, and he painted pumpkins every year, painted goofy faces on them, and they sold those pumpkins like crazy, just with acrylic paint. They sold those by the dozens. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, CB. Barb, are we going to do some pumpkin chunking later? No, because these are too expensive to chunk. These pumpkins are way too expensive to chunk, Miss Ruth. So you can do the pattern any way you want to, in my opinion. Now, you know, bona fide Zentanglers or certified Zentanglers may have a different opinion of that. And if I upset any certified Zentanglers, my apologies. I'm just doing this for fun. It's on my bucket list someday to go to the Zentangle training. I would like to do that. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Another thing you want to be careful of when you're working on stuff like this is make sure that your hands stay good and clean. Meaning don't have, don't go eat like French fries or buttery toast or something like that and have butter on your fingers, because your butter fingers are going to cause problems with things sticking to the surface of the pumpkin. So make sure that you keep your hands clean when you're doing this kind of stuff. Okay, we're done with that one. All right, so there we got that one. So we have 2 sections of green and 1 of purple done. Zentangle the ugly woman for Halloween. No. No. Hi, Michelle. You'll go to the Zentangle thing with me? Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it? These are permanent pens by Faber-Castell. These are the Pitt Artist Pens, Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pens, and this is a permanent ink once it's dry. On paper, it's definitely permanent. Now, on a super smooth surface like these pumpkins, which start out this color, this one started this way, which is kind of this creamy yellow color. These blemishes like this, that's part of the whatever paint job they did when they put on the pumpkin. And again, this is the pumpkin I'm using. I happened to get these at Hobby Lobby. They had them marked way down. Isn't that a ridiculous price for a foam pumpkin? Yeah, totally ridiculous. But anyway, they had them marked way down, so I bought 2 of them. Hi, Annette. So the reason I'm using these in particular, first of all, they're supposed to be permanent, and second of all, because of the brush tip. A regular marker, like a Sharpie felt tip, clogs up. At least I found it clogged up like almost immediately. So, yeah. Okay, let's go to this one. This is a fun little pattern to do, and this one needs purple. So this is just an easy, fun little pattern. Yeah, it is not a toy. Can't chunk it. Okay, what else? I'm trying to catch up with the chat here. Oh, these don't rot. No, these don't rot. I'm going to have these suckers forever, CB. I'm going to have these suckers forever. Hi, Azure Muse. Hi, Renee. Yeah, I'm going to have these puppies forever. Okay, back to purple. And the 2 colors I'm using on this pumpkin are, this is Permanent Green Olive. That's the name of this color, Permanent Green Olive, number 167. And the other one is Purple Violet. How's that for a color, descriptive color name? Purple Violet, 136. Okay, so let me start up here in the top. Once I get this at the top, then you'll be able to see. Right now my hand's just going to be in your way. Because it's a teensy tight little space right up there. Once I get it started, then I can turn it. Let me see how I can turn it so you guys can see. Okay, let's try this. Try this angle. And I'm going to do a few horizontals. And then I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to fill in, go in the other direction with the lines, and try to keep my hand out of what I just did. So it's kind of a basket weave. And I keep checking my hand and the side of my hand and my finger where I'm resting my finger over in the part that I just did to see if I'm picking up any ink. Okay. So I go for a while one direction, and then I'll turn it and fill in the other way. So technically, I think you're supposed to be much more deliberate in placing the strokes. And sometimes I might have 5 lines instead of 4. And I will tell you that this will wear out the tip of your brush pens. But you know what? It doesn't do you any good leaving your art supplies in their containers so that you don't wear them out and use them up. Okay, so there is our kind of basket weave kind of pattern. And the bird sounds in the background. We do have the bird sounds in the background. All right, so we've got a purple and green pumpkin going on here. Let's do, maybe we'll do this one. So this is green. This pattern I'm going to do right now is this one right here. It's this one. That's the one I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is the lines, the big lines. So again, my hand will be in your way till I get this. Till I get the top of this where it's so it's got so many indentations and divots and stuff going on up here at the top. Okay, we should be able to get going now. And one like this, I think it's particularly important that you put in the X's where you're going to fill in the color. Because my goodness, your eyes can get crossed trying to figure out where you're coloring, where you're filling something in. Okay, then you need to go back and add in those triangular shapes. Iffy, did you figure out the how to reduce the resolution so you could get the picture? All right, again, my hand's going to be in your way here for a little bit. So give me a second and then you'll be able to see again. You guys ever have days where your body is just like super hungry? I'm having one of those days. So if you can hear my tummy complaining, yeah, I apologize. I got one of those days going on here. Up where this, toward the top of the pumpkin where it has all of this contour, you know, where it's going in and out, it is very hard to make straight lines. A lot of that you can straighten out as you fill in the various sections. So that's good. Okay. So don't forget to check out the HowToGetCreative.com blog on November the 2nd. You will have a chance to win one of the sets of those Art Sparks creative cards because there is a drawing. So don't forget to check out that blog post on November 2nd. And we'll actually be working with the Art Sparks cards next Friday. Right here on Drama Free Friday. This is one of those patterns that can make your eyes go kind of crossed. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Patricia. Nice to have you join us. You don't hear any growling? Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Okay, we're going to see if we can get the rest of this section. My pumpkin stem is causing me some problems at the moment. Okay, let's move it around here and see if we can get the rest of this. But I highly recommend, if you decide to do something like this, use your pencil to put in those pattern lines first. Even if you don't follow them exactly, it sure makes it easier to do that and then go back over it with the marker. Okay, so we have all of those lines in there. Now all the places where the X's are, we're going to fill it in. It is harder than it looks, isn't it, Jessica? Mm-hmm. I know. It seems like it's super easy, and then you go, oh, yeah, well. Okay, so I'm just going to start someplace and just start filling in. We won't do all of this pattern, because this would drive us all crazy sitting here watching me color in sections. But we'll do enough that you can see how it comes together with the color instead of the black marker. Really, none of the patterns are really hard, but I think that concentration is a necessary requirement. And as you're filling in the sections, you can kind of true up your lines. If you've gotten a little bobble here or there, you can kind of straighten out some of that stuff. Okay, so you can see. Not bad, not bad. I missed one. Well, I haven't put this one in on purpose. If that's the one you're talking about, I haven't put that in on purpose. Yeah, that's probably the one. If that's not the one you're talking about, tell me. I don't have all the patterns drawn in, and I left myself a little bit of space so that if I have to add another section or take out a line or something, if I miscounted, which is entirely possible. Yeah, that's why I've left some space there. So if I need to add another section or take one out, I have the freedom to do that. I do have a plan, believe it or not. There is a plan. Okay, I'm going to stop going up. I'm going to keep going down because it's a little easier for my hand and a little easier for you to see. Yeah, no worries. It's all good. But thank you for being concerned about me. You never know. I might not have been thinking at all. Sometimes it takes group effort to make art. It'd help if I'd keep it down here where you could see. So we'll do a couple more of these sections, this one and one more, just so you get the idea of what it looks like in the green. Okay, we're going to do one more. Then we'll move on to a different pattern. We'll do a couple more patterns and then I'll show you about the shading and explain to you how I finished it and so forth. And then we'll call it good, and then I'll get it finished and take a picture of it. And when I post the blog post about it this weekend, you should be able to see it all finished. See one in color and one in black. It does take a village, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Sometimes it takes more than a village. I learn a lot from my viewers, so I appreciate it. I appreciate you looking out for me. Okay, so there is the green, the start of that pattern, so you can get the idea. And then we have this liney basket weave sort of pattern. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this one is. We have some arrows going on. So let's put in this purple section over here, which is like a plaid. So let's put this one in, at least do some of it. Hi JZ, Auntie Michael JZ. Let's see. She found a great container for paste painting, 4-up ice pop molds, tall enough to hold the brushes upright. What a great find. That is great. Excellent. Yeah, Ruth. I've seen Barb rescue stuff before. I wasn't worried. How's that for sucking up? Excellent, Ruth. Nancy's using, oh, sorry, my tea's in the way. Nancy's using the same patterns to tangle a teapot she drew. How cool is that? Barb, I found that if I refer to myself as the troll, I get kicked off the internet. Yep, that's probably true, Lindy. That's probably true. Ah. Yeah. Will Barb have two purple sections together? You'll just have to wait and see, won't you? Okay, so let's do this one. I've already started it down here. It's the same as this plaid right here, checkerboard plaid thing. It's kind of a plaid checkerboard. That's a good expression for it. Okay. This one's tricky business because you got all these lines that have to go in. Once the lines are in, it's not hard to do, but we got to have those lines in. So let's see if we can get them in here, shall we? Okay, I'm not going to guarantee you can see everything I'm going to do, but I'm going to try. All right, here we go. As I said, if you have been drinking a bunch of coffee, this is not a good time for you to try and do this. I'm going to color this in while I'm here because I'm having trouble with this one little bitty section here. When you're getting into an area where the section is narrowing down, it becomes real tricky there. Okay, once again, my hand's probably going to be in your way. Okay, we got that section done. Now, let's go for this one. When you're drawing lines like this, draw with your eyes first. Which means keep your eye moving ahead of your hand. It will help get the lines to go where you intend for them to go. Now you're on a curved surface and it's kind of a bumpy surface. Therefore, they're not going to be perfectly straight. Impossible. Get them more or less straight. But if you'll train yourself to get your eyes moving slightly ahead of where your pen is, you'd be surprised how much it helps. Okay, now I'm going to have to turn this around and my hand's going to get in your way, probably. I can feel you guys holding your breath, by the way. So these lines are pretty good and wiggly, but we'll straighten them out. I'm glad you guys are worried about purple against purple. You never know. You're going to have to wait till it's all done and see how it turns out. The suspense is killing all of you, isn't it? Will she have two purples together? You never know. I might just throw a red section right in the middle of it just to mess you guys up. And if you happen to be watching this recording, this would be a really good one to watch on double speed. Or just fast forward across the slider bar. Just drag that little bar across and then you don't have to watch all this stuff. Okay, they're such as they are. They're done. Okay, let's go the other way. Crosswise now. Put in the crosswise lines. I have to say it's kind of nice to work in color. After spending hours and hours working just with a black marker, it's kind of nice to have color going on. The sponsors must be sound asleep because I have not heard a single peep out of them. The sunshine must be streaming through their window. Because when the sunshine is streaming through the window, they are busy. All right, we're going to have to manhandle this puppy a little different position here. Okay, I'm going to have to turn it again and see if I can get the last little bits in here. Got it. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Patty. They're plotting. They're watching the birds, plotting how to get them. That's right. Hey, Tina. Nice to see you. All right, so here we go. We're going to fill in some of these. Now, we may not do all these, but we'll do some of them. Sound good? All right, so I've got part of it done here at the bottom. So part of that's done, so I'm going to work up from there. Again, I already have the X's. Let's see, maybe I'll do it this way. I already have the X's filled in, or marking where I'm supposed to fill in with color. Excuse me. I even have a sneeze button and couldn't even get to it, push it quick enough so I didn't blow your ears out on that one. My apologies. So again, you can straighten up. If your lines are wonky, you can kind of straighten them up as you're filling in. Now, does it matter if they're a little bit wonky? Not really. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Thank you for the blessings. Okay, we'll do a couple more rows of this one and then we'll move on. Let's see, do I have anything else? Yeah, we'll do one more pattern after this. I'm not going to do this whole thing because this is, when you have to fill in these solid sections like this is beyond tedious for you guys to watch. I know that. So we'll do one more section and then we'll switch and talk about how to finish it. How's that sound? Does that sound okay to you guys? We have the most beautiful breeze blowing here this afternoon. Oh, it's just, I'm telling you, if I wasn't in here with you guys, I'd be taking a nap with the windows open. I can just feel it in my bones. I'd be doing that. Okay, one more row here and then we're going to call it good on this pattern. Because by golly, you got the idea. I think it's going to be kind of cool having one with just two colors on it and just see what it looks like. I think it's going to be kind of cool. So as I said earlier, although these are permanent pins, don't be rubbing them a lot. Like, don't be putting a lot of pressure on them. Don't take your fingers over here and start rubbing on this part, even though it's been dried and everything, because if you do, you're going to end up not being happy with yourself because you're going to be able to rub it off. Renee's trying to stay awake. I understand. Okay, so I don't have all of this pattern drawn. Maybe I should do that real quickly because this one we can put in all the way. Let me just draw this in because I'll see if I can do it upside down. This could be a real challenge. I don't do upside down and backwards very well at all, I have to admit. I have to admit. Anything that requires upside down and backwards, most generally I will do it wrong the first time, even if I'm very careful about thinking it through. And this pattern is much better built from the top down than it is from the bottom up, let me tell you. So if you do a line that just isn't right, use a white eraser and you can take it off. Okay, good enough. We're going for it. Yeah, Tina, wouldn't you think? It is, but I don't do it well. I'll tell you, upside down and backwards is really... It is a stretch for me, let me tell you. So these are like little shingles. This pattern does have a name, but I don't know what it is. But that's what they remind me of, like a shingled roof. I can always tell when I need to take a break because I start going faster and faster and getting sloppier and sloppier. That's when you need to slow down, be more deliberate. And when you're doing this kind of stuff, you do need to take breaks from time to time to rest your eyes, because your eyes, sometimes your eyes will just kind of do this thing where they just kind of get crossed, you know, it's like you lose your focus or something. Just take a break. Look off in the distance, go outside, do something like that. Do something, look someplace completely different than you've been looking, which is right up here close, and it will help give your eyes a little rest. And this one, I'm going to have to go back and erase some pencil lines because I'm not hitting my lines exactly. You can do that. Just be careful. around the ink lines, because if you start rubbing the eraser on top of your inked lines, you can actually remove some of the ink. Okay, we got it. So there's that one. So you can see the pencil lines here and there. So what you want to do with your white plastic eraser, if you have one of these stick erasers like this, see how that's not flat across the end? What I do is I take a just something, it doesn't matter what it is, something that you can put down and use your craft knife or any kind of knife and cut it across at an angle. Then you can get in there really close in here, for example. Or if you have one of those little tiny erasers like Janet, if any of you saw Janet Merle when she was streaming, Monkey Island Madness is her Ustream channel. And she has a little teensy tiny eraser that she was using. I don't have one of those, so I just have to shave down my big one. And you can get in there and take out those extra lines if you want. Hi, Krissa. Okay, now let's talk about how to finish these. So we're going to pretend that this is finished, which it's not. I mean, we got quite a few patterns on it. I have to fill in these sections over here and get my sections correct. And once it's completely done, which this one is completely done, what you want to do is set it aside and let it dry, which it won't take very long. It pretty much, 10-15 minutes max, it's completely dry. Then I use this product, which is called Krylon Matte Finish. Doesn't have to be this one. This is just the one that I use the most. Krylon Matte Finish. It's number 1311. And this dries almost instantly. And you don't ever want to use this inside. You want to go outside. And what I did was I put a string on the stem of the pumpkin. So it has this nice little piece here, so you can tie a string around it and it'll hold it on. And I knew where I was going to hang it when I was done, so I'd pre-planned where I was going to hang it. So I held it by the string, took it outside, and then sprayed it with a good, not a super heavy coat, but just a nice coat of this matte finish. So you need to spray it with something. That puts the first layer of protection over that ink. You've got to protect that ink or it is going to rub off. Okay? So you spray it, and that spray dries almost instantly. I let it sit maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And then I came back in with a coat of DuraClear matte varnish. It can be whatever you want to use, just a water-based varnish. This is polyurethane matte varnish, but it is water-based. So I used that. Now, it says matte. I find it to be more of a satin than a matte. I don't think it's a true matte varnish, but anyway, that's what I used. And again, because you have the stem on the pumpkin, you can hang on to it and, paint the bottom of the pumpkin and then turn it over and then work on painting the rest of the pumpkin. I got it varnished all in one go because of having the stem I could hang on to. And then I took it over and I hung it up in the place where I had planned for it to hang until it was dry. You want to make sure that you don't have any drips or runs. Another way of saying that is rips. Drips or runs. You want to make sure the drips and runs are not sagging. The varnish, you don't want the varnish sagging. Let it dry completely, and I let that just sit there for several hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, until it was completely dry. So it was just hanging, drying. That was that. Then I came back and shaded it. Tina, you like that? Cool. Okay. Get my shelf unit out of the picture there. There we go. So then you can see the shading here. Hopefully you can see that. So it doesn't look totally flat. There are places where it has shading added, and that's very common for Zentangle patterns to have that done. So to do that, I used another Faber-Castell pen. This happens to be the big brush pen, and this is warm gray. Now, if you had another color in the small one like this, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this big one. It's just this is the color that I wanted to use, so it's a gray. All right, so this is what you want to do. I have a paper towel or a napkin close by, and I uncap the pen. And although this one is done, we'll mess with it a little bit. We'll put some shading in these squares, okay? What I did was I shaded down where the divisions of the pumpkin would be. So I shaded the divisions of the pumpkins exactly the way I'm going to show you here. But it's important that you have a coat of varnish. I can't show you on the one I just did because I don't have any varnish on it. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to put this, I'm going to shade the light color. Shading on black would do no good. So I put some color down, and very quickly after that, use my finger to blend it. There is a fine line between shading it too quickly and not doing it fast enough. If you don't do it quick enough, the ink dries and you can't move it. If you do it too fast, you just wipe it all off. All right, so there is one that's been shaded, and then you end up with ink on your fingers, and that's why you want to have a paper towel, so you keep taking the ink off of your fingers. So we'll come down and do this one. You can see on this one, it's only got shading on the one side, as opposed to this one up here, which we now have shading around the square. Okay, so again, add the color, let it sit a couple of seconds, and then come in with your finger and blend it out. And I find that I have to keep turning it so that I'm working toward myself. That's just how it works best for me. Don't go more than 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the very most before you blend. If you try to do a big long stripe of color, it's going to dry on you before you can move it. And if your finger gets too messy with ink, wipe it off so you're not just moving color all over. Because the whole idea is to have color where you want it. You don't have to have color every single. You don't want to turn the square one color is what I'm saying. Okay, so for example, on these shingle designs, I put a little tiny bit of color up here in that little peak area, like where the shingle would go tuck under the row above it. and then I just used my finger to kind of pull it down and blend it. So that's how I did the shading on those. So that's what I did on this whole section here. I just shaded up in that narrow little V-shaped section where things were tucking under. On this section right here, I just only shaded on the divisions between sections of the pumpkin. So to do those divisions between the sections of the pumpkin, I would put down the color about an inch or so and then blend. Don't go any further than about an inch, inch and a half. If you do, you cannot blend it out. And this technique only works if you have a coat of varnish over the surface before you try and put this marker down. If you try and do it where there is no shiny surface or coated surface, it doesn't have to be shiny, but it does need to be coated. If you try and do it on a surface that's not coated, it will not blend like that. It just sucks into the finish of whatever. If I tried to do that right now on this one, if I tried to do it on this, it would just suck into the surface of this because there's no finish whatsoever. Okay? So you have to have that coat of varnish of some kind. To do, let's see, to do this section, these little swirls, I just simply I went down the sides. Every section I've gone down the sides of the divisions of the pumpkin. And then I wanted a little bit more in the centers of these, so I just put a little bit of the color in the middle and then just blended it with my finger. So a little in the center, blended it with my finger. And that's what I did on all of those. On this one, on this area, I did the sides, the divisions of the pumpkin, and then I wanted each one of these to have a little bit of a kind of a rolling look to them. So I did, let's see if I can do this where you can see. So here I put a little bit of the color and then blended it, keeping it on the section, on this section that I was working. So I'm working on this stripe. We'll call this a stripe. I was working on this, so I'm blending the color out into the stripe. But my goal was to keep the shading at the edge and at the edge, but let the middle still stay light. So it would kind of give the illusion of not only is the pumpkin round this way, but I wanted it kind of undulating the pattern to kind of go in and out. Okay. And that's how I did all of those. Like this one, there was nothing to shade other than the two little edges of the section. There was nothing to shade. On this one, I put some shading on every other stripe. So calling these little things a stripe. I put that right in the middle and shaded that so that it had, again, just had some unique, it made it different than the sections it was close to. So what this needs now is it needs to be sprayed again and then given another coat of varnish, and that will protect all of the shading that's on it. And that's how you do that. And then every so often you need to stop and clean your finger because it will, as you do the shading, it starts building up ink, and it at some point may deposit more ink back on the surface than you want it to. And that's how you do that. So, any questions about painting? Well, it's not really painting, but decorating a pumpkin in a patterned Zentangle sort of way? If we don't have any questions, I'm going to get the sponsors out. Gonna let them come out. It's a fun project, and I just made it up as I went along. So it's not from a book, or it's not from, watching somebody else. I just kind of made it up as I went along. If I did it again next year, I might do something completely different. You never know. A lot of prep work. Oh, it was fun. I enjoyed it. That's just part of what I did this week. Believe me, that's only part of what I did this week. Okay, let me get sponsors. Let me get a sponsor cam ready. Yes. They're going to think there's not enough room up here for them. These pumpkins. What are you doing in there? Huh? What you doing? Is it your turn? Is it your turn to say hi to everybody? Okay. All right. Let's move the pumpkins. Because I know there's not enough room for Charlie up here. We got pumpkins. All right. He's assumed the sponsoring position. Yes, he has. Come here, Charles. Come here, Charlie boy. Come here. Come here. Lie down and say hello to the world. There we go. Don't ask me why they do this. Oh, no, don't put your head. You're not supposed to rub your head on the camera. Not really. We just don't have enough room here for you guys today. Here. Charlie is like super close to the camera today. Yeah, I don't know why they do this. I have no idea. But they do it every week, and they just think that this is just the best time of the week. They get to get on the table, and they just immediately do what they do. They get up here and lay down and look at the world. I don't know why. I don't know why. You guys are weird, weird, weird. Both of you. Yes. All right, folks. That's today. So thanks for joining me for this pumpkin painting, marking, patterning kind of stream. I hope you guys have a wonderful, if you celebrate Halloween, I hope you have a wonderful and safe Halloween. And yeah, I will see you next week. Remember to check my blog over at HowToGetCreative.com on November 2nd for the blog hop, and I will be tweeting about it, the blog hop about the Art Sparks Creative Projects deck. So we'll be doing that. Next week I'll be working with the deck, and that's the size of that. Yeah. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you might want to do that at Barb Owen Designs on Twitter, because I do make all the announcements on Twitter. I try to put them on Facebook too, but I'm honestly better with Twitter sometimes. And I guess that wraps it up. So you guys done? They're purring so loud you can probably hardly hear me. So I will see you all next week. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a great next week until I see you the next time. So bye for now. And remember to get creative today, because it's easy. And I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.